Love your hats, man. I love the hat on the cover of the new album, and I've loved the hats ever since you put out "I Need a Dollar" and all that stuff.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I found it's nice and interesting to have a different hat. I've been inspired by Sinatra and all his style.
Does the new song on the new EP, like the 3 songs, there's one song that's called "My Way"? Does that have anything to do with that too?
Oh, not necessarily, but I think it's a nice and interesting coincidence. The song "My Way" is just, it happened to be the right words for the idea that was being written, doing it my way. Of course, Sinatra has a song with the same title, but, how else are you supposed to say it? It's so simple, those 2 words.
Yeah. How many hats do you have?
Definitely over 60 hats.
Cool. You have to have a certain kind of style to actually get a hat to work with who you are. It's like, it's not for everyone.
I think so. For me, it comes along with the outfit, and not every hat works for me. I don't do like snapbacks or fitteds because baseball caps don't work for me.
When it comes to music, how many hats can you wear at the same time in these strange and crazy times ever since you started putting stuff out, with Stone's Throw and now in 2020?
Yeah, it's almost like I have to wear every hat. But I have been since I was young. I started out making music in hip hop and writing the lyrics, recording the actual tracks, sometimes producing the actual music, doing all of the artwork, pressing the cassettes or the CDs or the vinyl, distributing, sending it to different countries or sending it to stores here in LA. Wearing all the hats of every part of the music business was really important for me, because by the time I got signed to a label, I knew what to look for and what kind of help I needed.
Who were your main inspirations when you started writing music?
Main inspirations starting music was back in the 90s, like hip hop artists. I was listening to Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Nas, NWA, Farside, Hieroglyphics. And these were the kinds of sounds that inspired me to write hip hop. But then when I started to sing, I was inspired by soul music, singer-songwriters, classic rock. My parents are from Panama, so I grew up listening to a lot of Central American music and, the salsa music, the Caribbean, the soca, the reggae, the cumbia, merengue. All of that was part of another understanding about music for me as well.
Did you get to live in Panama?
I didn't get to live in Panama. I just visited a few times. I was last there November. Yeah, before the pandemic.
Okay, I forget to ask these things, but it's like everybody's talking about it because, like, how are you holding up? How are things nowadays? How's this pandemic treating you?
Yeah, I'm making it through. We've got 2 little kids. My wife is Maya Jupiter. She's an artist as well. And we just try to schedule our time so that we can focus on kids and do our music or do our business. It's not the same, it's just a lot of attention that kids need. And when they're not away at school, you have to be there to do it. So like even right now, while we're talking on the internet, I'm hoping I'm not taking up her internet bandwidth for class,
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, and now you got a trip coming. I was talking to Santiago a little bit about how you have to go to Germany for something.
Yeah, there's a plan for me to go to Germany to do some promo. So I want to be extremely careful, getting on an airplane and wearing a mask everywhere I go, and just trying to respect the protocols of this pandemic.
Has the way the pandemic has turned or transformed our lives had anything to do with the process of these 3 new songs?
The songs were finished. They were written a long time ago. They were finished a long time. They were produced before the pandemic. They were mixed and mastered probably during the pandemic. But the ideas that I wanted to share in this album was about family, about love, and that's why I call it All Love Everything, and about togetherness and connection with the people around us. So all of that was already determined. It's just a coincidence now that I think this is the exact kind of music we need to make it through this time.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's a little bit of a balm for the soul when you get to hear those songs, because even though they were produced before the pandemic, as you say, they seem to be connected in a very special way. You know, it's like, it's kind of what happens with visionary artists, you know, when they kind of see things coming, even though, you know, it's, you don't really know what's going to happen.
I didn't know. But yeah, maybe it is that being in tune, you know, with what's coming.
Yeah, let's talk about what's changed for you ever since you released I Need a Dollar, because I think, you know, I got to your music through How to Make It in America, and yeah, and I started playing it on the radio right then and there. But then you started becoming a part of our radio landscape, which for the 2010s wasn't something that happened very commonly on mainstream radio. To be able to get a song like that one from a TV series, which was already happening, yes, but it wasn't as impactful in Latin America or South America as it was in the United States, to actually get it on rotation. How have things changed for you as an artist? How has it evolved for you?
Yeah, that song helped to create an awareness about me and my music, more so in Europe and outside of the US than in the US. One of the things that happened here in the US was that the radio station said that the song sounded too old to play up against, you know, contemporary pop music. But that's only in the US. In England, they played it. In Germany, they played it. In France, they played it. Belgium, Australia. So I'm wondering, you know, in the US, are they just making up lies? Like everybody else, you know, human beings have ears. We're all hearing it the same way and everybody likes it. But it helped to create an awareness for me and a respect within the industry for someone who is obviously, you know, for me, focusing on my craft, trying to make the best songs that I can make and not compromising. So it ended up being a situation where even though I wasn't necessarily played all the time on radio in the US, definitely college and independent radio, it gave me this like cool place, cool status, right? And I think cool status is better than pop status.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you on that one. Did you ever feel pressure to do another I Need a Dollar, in the sense that, you know, your inspirations are hip hop, de la soul, and the hieroglyphics and the Far Side, and then after that, you know, you get into the R&B and the soul side of the classics, and there's so much of a treasure trove of pop standards, even though, you know, they belong to this, you know, heritage of Black music, but it's like, it's so well made. So sometimes it just crosses over. Did you ever feel like, oh my God, I gotta surpass this success?
I mean, I don't know about the success part of it, but definitely from the craftsmanship side of it, I want to do more soulful music in that sense. I have another project that is very, very much like I Need a Dollar, very soulful, but it's more the direction I wanted to go. Truth and Soul is the production team that I worked with for Good Things album, and they have a very particular sound and style and way they make music. And then there's another way that I wanted to go even further and do some things that were much more funky, deeper soul, and just a deeper essence of Black music. And I have that project, I have that album. I haven't released it because I don't know what the right timing is. And I didn't know that if this was going to be the right timing. What I felt for this time was an album about my family and about my relationships. And so, yeah, it's around and it's coming.
I want to take you back to Wake Me Up. I feel like I need to ask you about this, because this was Colombia's biggest hit when it came out that year, you know, and it was like major, massive. Obviously, it wasn't just Colombia, it was worldwide. But, you know, back in those days, we were straying away a little bit from the Latin pop experience of radio. We were going back to discovering new artists in the United States, in Norway, in the UK, you know, and this song was a part of that, of Colombians embracing globalization and the global spirit of music. And I would like to know if you could comment a bit on what that experience was like for you as a songwriter, as a performer, what it was like to work with the kids from Incubus and with Avicii, of course.
Yeah, the song was and still is, you know, the biggest song that I have been a part of. And I started writing the lyrics just traveling around the world. Came up with this idea. And when I worked with Tim Avicii and worked with Mike from Incubus, I brought these lyrics into the room, and the lyrics really made sense for the music that we were making. We didn't know what was going to happen with the song, but ultimately it touched the world in such an amazing way. And my career is so much better for it. You know, the experience of having a hit like that definitely changes your perspective on what you're making music for and how you're going to make music in the future. There's this concept of wanting to chase a hit, and I had to be very conscious about not trying to chase the hit, because there are so many factors that go into determining, you know, and I wasn't in any way chasing a hit with I Need a Dollar. I wasn't in any way chasing a hit with The Man, and I wasn't in any way chasing a hit with Wake Me Up. We were just writing the best song that we could write. And I think that's ultimately the learning lesson from all of it is just focus on real stories, real messages, and let the world decide if your story and your message is relevant and needed at the time. You know, I can't think of that many other artists whose songs were not forced down the throats of people by the record label or by the powers of the music industry, right? There are artists who make terrible music, who have so much industry power that they can force terrible music into your ears, and then after the third time you like it, you're like, oh, okay, I like this. I think, you know, I'm in a situation where I don't have that kind of access, or at least I've never engaged that kind of access and that kind of industry power. I just make good songs, you know, and hopefully it'll get to the right people who will share it in a way that it will make a difference. Like when you heard I Need a Dollar from the TV show, you started playing it. Like that song was almost an accident. I'd started writing the lyrics 6 years before I recorded the music. And, you know, I only did it because I had this song in my head and I never had music for it. So we jammed on some music and put it together. And that's kind of how a lot of this happens. Like songs are already in my head, then I get the right instrumentation for it, you put it on, and then it comes out. I remember hearing a quote from Paul McCartney when he wrote Live or Let Die for James Bond film. They asked him to do the song, and he came back in 3 days and turned it in. And they said, or however many days it was, they said, this only took you 3 days. He said, no, this took me a lifetime. Because from what other people may think, it just only took a few hours, but really it takes a lifetime to have the experiences, to build the stories, to have the expertise. And sometimes all of these lyrics and these lines and these messages are coming from years ago.
How many songs do you discard in a process like that one? When you start writing
away. Honestly, I don't throw anything away. Everything has value. And that's another thing I think I learned from the Beatles. I don't think it was their choice, it was their producer's choice, but he was piecing together fragments of songs to make one combined song. And I figured, oh, okay, so in one respect, these fragments could have been thrown away. Nobody would ever use them. It was just an idea. But there is value in it because when you put it together, it could be just a montage, a collage. It could be abstract art, but whatever it is, there's some value. And so because I write everything digitally, I can just keep it all stored in my phone or my computer. I don't have little pieces of paper anymore. I used to have stacks and stacks and stacks of lyrics. I save everything, and it may come in handy one day or it may never. But after seeing how my biggest hits have been songs that I've written years before I actually recorded them, I know better at this point.
Is there anyone you would like to collaborate in the near future?
I'd still like to collaborate with some of my heroes in the music business. Quincy Jones. I'd like to collaborate with Stevie Wonder. I'd like to collaborate with Dr. Dre. Anita Baker is a singer that is an amazing vocalist and songwriter. In terms of contemporary artists, not really that many. Generally, like, you know, newer, really hip kind of underground producers like Kitranada, who's a dope beat maker. But I have my own crew, and I like the things that we do. So, you know, I don't really feel like I need to go outside of family to make dope music. And the stories that I want to tell are related to my crew anyway. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. I mean, to be able to cherish the audiences that you've learned to culture and to cultivate across your career and throughout your career, and to be able to be satisfied and grateful for it, because, you know, it's like everybody's wants to be famous, you know, like everybody in the music industry still wants those big numbers, but there's this other side of the music industry that appreciates good music and that appreciates those small audiences, even though yours isn't small. But I'm saying, you know, I'm speaking for myself, like as a podcaster or as a broadcaster that has, you know, like 50,000, 100,000 people listening. You know, it's amazing to hear you say that.
I got my first big hit when I was 31. I wasn't a kid, and I was already a grown man, and I knew who I was. And I think that's a lot of the issue with some artists in the music business. They come in as children. They have a bunch of people around them telling them what to do. All of these little people who just eat. They're like parasites. They eat from everything, and they don't eat unless the artist is working. I was able to say, you know what? I don't need to have all of that around me. I can manage this myself. I can, you know, handle a lot of these things on my own, make my own decisions, and then take it at my own pace. And that's why I can have, you know, a hit in 2010 and then still have a career, another hit in 2014. And we'll see what happens with 2020 with this album. But I still have a career, and I'm still moving forward, not trying to win a race. I'm just living in a human pace, because for me, the most important thing that I can do is get to like Songwriters Hall of Fame. You know, that's when you're at the end of your career and all of the other songwriters in the business are telling you that you deserve this award or this recognition. You know, it's not something you can win every year just because you wore a flashy shirt or you had, you know, $1 million campaign to make your song the biggest song. This is a career, you know, a career move.
And it's a beautiful one, and it's a beautiful one at that. I hope and even though you're feeling cool with hanging out with the crew that you make music with, I do look forward to seeing that Kitranada collabo. I mean, that would be awesome, man.
I mean, I mentioned Kitranada because he's probably the closest to what we would do internally on the outside. You know, there's a lot of really dope stuff that's out there, a lot of great artists, and I'll just keep my ear to the ground and see what's up. I find people on Instagram and I reach out to them directly, and I'm just like, I like what you do. I can't make any promises. Let's see if we can schedule some sort of phone call and make a collaboration happen in the near future, maybe, right? But just because I hear it and I think it's dope, and I think it'd be good to know, you know, really dope artists from anywhere in the world. What's his name? There's an artist out of England who is Kayla Maestro. He's a beat producer. I can't remember how I found him, but, you know, I reached out to him and then we collaborated. You know, I went on a retreat called the Playlist Retreat. Jazzy Jeff does every year with the best producers.
No, I've seen that. Yeah.
And I met Maxwell, who's a producer from Australia. And so I go to Australia every year because my wife's family is there. And I hung out with him and we made music. And that, you know, these aren't big famous names. But what I found in this business, the big famous names aren't really that artistic. They don't write their own songs. They don't make their own beats. They just kind of puppets. And I want to work with people who actually do the work, you know?
Cool. Got a couple last questions before I let you go. Thanking you once again for taking the time to talk to us. The first one has to do with the Black Lives Matter movement, the Breonna Taylor thing. I know I don't want to get you into politics or anything, but I do want to know how you're feeling today. You know, it's been a rough 48 hours after all the verdicts in Louisville, Kentucky. What's your take?
So I've been extremely working hard, extremely hard on police reform in the U.S. We have laws in the U.S. that protect police. We have entire systems within systems within systems. So in order to make any real change, it's going to take a lot of effort. The protests in the street are helpful because they let all of our lawmakers and the elected officials know that we want change. Next is having those lawmakers draft new laws that we can vote on or that they can vote on. One of the most important ones is immunity. People keep asking, why do police keep killing? It's because they are immune from responsibility, legally immune. The law says that it doesn't matter what they do, they can do it, and they won't be in trouble for it. And that's what needs to change. And once we can change that, it will change the culture, because then police will start to think, okay, I can't just do whatever I want. I have to work within the system and make it something that is legal, you know? I didn't expect much different from what happened. It's even worse, though, that what happened with Breonna Taylor, in terms of how the verdict was given, was a direct message. And it wasn't clear to everyone, maybe outside the US or even within the US, but it's a direct message saying that Black lives don't matter. And I think they know exactly what they're doing. And they think they're really crafty about it. But ultimately, these systems will change, and they have to, because humanity won't stand for it. And your history won't stand for it. It's like, what do you want your Wikipedia page to say about you in the end, you know? And I think people need to be conscious of the decisions they're making and how it's going to affect the future.
What do you think Reverend Martin Luther King would say about everything that's going on? You know, because sometimes when I hear you talk, I feel like the struggle continues. But over the course of the past 12 months, I've felt disillusioned by the way oblivion to what's gone on in the past with the civil rights movement seems to take over history. You know, we're living in the present and in the crucial times for the civil rights movement when I hear you speak. But I hadn't felt a little bit of hope over the course of these 5 or 6 months, because it seems like we forgot everything that we've been through, you know, everything that Martin Luther King taught us, everything that happened with Malcolm X, everything that, you know, we barely thought we had in our hands, you know?
Yeah. I feel like it's constant vigilance. You can never stop fighting. The darkness will always try to swallow the light. So you have to continue to try to be the light. And that means educating people, being active politically, protesting in the streets, and demanding your rights no matter what, until the system changes. And really the change that has happened recently is that in the wake of the murder of George Floyd by the police in Minneapolis is that white people are involved. For years, decades, centuries, Black people have been saying, we need our freedom, we want equity and equality. And until white people start saying, yes, that's true, and we will work with you, then nothing really changes. And we're seeing that finally, you know, the white allies are getting involved in the movements.
Will there ever be a moment in the police, in the syndicates that run it, where they listen to what you guys have to say about change of legislation? And are you involved in the change of that legislation? Do you know anything about what needs to be done, or at least what Black Lives Matter is demanding that changes and that can be done, that can be feasible?
So yes, there's never going to be a moment where all police just switch over in one time. It's going to be very gradual. But what has to happen is the laws need to change. One, accountability is huge. When police start getting punished in real ways, like going to jail for murder, like going to jail and paying fines out of their own pockets for theft and lies, being treated like normal citizens for when they violate the law purposefully, when that starts to happen, that's when we see a huge shift and change. There's a lot of layers, like I was telling you before, and those layers need to be broken down. It will have to happen with laws. In California, we're trying to pass the decertification law. If you're an officer who does something illegal, your license to be a law enforcement is removed. You'll never get a chance to be law enforcement in California again. But you can go to the other state next door, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and become an officer. We need a federal level, a national level that says, if your law enforcement credentials are revoked from one state, then you cannot practice in any other state. And then we need to remove immunity. So right now we have a law that has been changed in California. No more chokeholds. Police are not allowed to use it. So it's against the law if they use the chokehold. Okay, let's see what happens when they use the chokehold. Who's going to punish them? Nobody, because there's the other law that says they're immune from punishment, immune from accountability. So we have to remove the immunity to create accountability. So now all these other laws actually work. And this is the biggest issue. Police officers make their money from taxpayers, tax dollars. So they're in their salary. Once they get their money, they pay to their union a piece that says, here, union, you should protect me whenever police have problems. That union has millions and millions and millions of dollars. The union takes that money and then they give it to the politician and says, here, politician, don't make any laws that are bad for police. And this is the problem. My tax dollars pay for the police to abuse me and then get away with it. And then when they get punished, or when there's a payout to people, then my money pays me back for when they abuse me. So this is a huge problem, and we need to figure out how to get the accountability piece, real punishment for the crimes they commit.
Do you dream of a constitution that modifies the 13th Amendment in such a democracy, in such a stern democracy that...
Yeah, so right now, the 13th Amendment in the United States still allows for slavery. It did not completely abolish slavery. It only limited it to people who are incarcerated. And so as soon as that happened, the white establishments around the country used it to then find ways to put more Black people in jail in order to keep them as slaves, so that they can make cups for Starbucks and make boxes for Amazon and Walmart, and work for all and make lingerie for Victoria's Secret. So they have slaves within the jails because that's where our Constitution says you can still have slavery. And then they find ways to just demonize Black people. Like, okay, of course you're from Colombia, you know about cocaine and the relationship between the US and cocaine. And then in 2006 or 2000, let's say 96, 97, 98, there was some news about the CIA being involved in the cocaine trade. And everybody said, no, no way. But then the news eventually came out, and it was given by the Freedom of Information Act that, yes, the CIA was involved in trafficking cocaine. In the US, they were punishing crack cocaine higher than powder cocaine. Well, powder cocaine was used in the white neighborhoods. They didn't want to punish those kids or those people. Crack cocaine is lower potency, but higher punishment. They wanted to punish the Black people. They wanted to put them in prison. They wanted to make them slaves.
Those are the famous mandatory minimums?
Mandatory minimums, 3 strikes you're out, war on drugs, everything that we've heard. While the CIA during Reagan's administration was trafficking drugs across the US borders, his wife, Nancy Reagan, had a campaign, Just Say No. I mean,
I remember that. I remember that.
This is what we're up against. We've got one hand doing one thing and the other hand doing another thing. And all of the systems just perpetuate themselves to make money from themselves to the detriment of anyone that they can. And I don't believe that the system can sustain. I think young people, the next generations, are learning too much. They know too much, and they're going to fight and revolt. They have nothing to lose, literally nothing to lose. The planet is dying because of global warming and ecological disasters. So they're looking at it like, if we don't fight, then we're just gonna slowly die anyway. So let's just fight and see what we can change.
Thank you very much. Take good care. God bless you, man. And say hello to the family. Best of luck with the trip in Germany. And looking forward to seeing you perform one time in the near future here in Colombia, South America. Would be very pleased to have you here.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Take good care. Goodbye.